Yeah. All right. Hey, we are live. We're
right,
already rolling here.
All right.
So you probably didn't come from golf. I assume it's pretty wet out there.
No,
It's,
no golf.
It's raining. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't actually got to play much at all this year. But
Really?
No.
Well, you're a busy man. You got like
Yep.
20 different things going on.
Lots.
Yeah. So those that don't know Andrew Smith,
Yeah.
born and raised in Quincy, I think,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't even know a whole lot of your background. I
Okay.
don't remember how we even met. I think that
I don't either.
if I remember right, I was getting a little more active on LinkedIn, and I know
Okay.
at one point you commented or said something about one of my LinkedIn posts. I don't know how, but
I've got super lazy on LinkedIn over like the last
Yeah.
year. So I did it like aggressively for a little while.
do you
And then-
find LinkedIn is necessary at this point in your career, or what do you feel is the value of LinkedIn?
There's some. I like seeing like a lot of the projects that other people are doing, and just seeing people grow and move in different spaces. I don't see it to be a whole lot different than like Facebook, if I'm being honest
A
with
little
you.
more professional.
Yeah,
version of
there's
Facebook.
just there's less obviously people on LinkedIn than Facebook, but I don't I shouldn't say I don't believe, but I think sometimes LinkedIn is kind of a professional like front to it.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, people are fake on Facebook. I'm like, oh, bro, you have not seen LinkedIn.
Yes,
'Cause,
that
like,
is true. You're posting like the best highlights.
Oh man, it's
of your career.
highlight reel.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to get hired or you're trying to hire somebody, or just like, hey, look at me, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like there's a spot for that. I have a very strict social media policy as a whole myself. Like
What is that?
It is I am posting stuff about my family,
Yep.
like cool stuff that we're doing, whatever work.
Yep.
That's it.
So no like politics
Absolutely
or
not.
no like controversial stuff.
No, and like I have friends that are on both sides of the aisle in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
And I'm a very I'm a Christian. I have a very deep faith, but and I will post things occasionally about where that's at. But like not everybody that I'm friends with is that way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I think so much in today's world we get caught up in my opinion's more valid than yours
Yeah.
or whatever. And I just try to stay out of those arenas, control
Yeah.
what I can control type situation. And politics is the quickest way to have a conversation get ugly like right now.
Right.
And I'm at the end of the day, it doesn't
I'm not
matter.
smart enough to have the conversation. I mean,
Neither am I most of the time.
there's so many layers to politics
Yeah.
and the different opinions you can have, and like even as a Christian, like you can have different opinions about things. that-
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard.
I don't feel well versed enough. Like I'm, at the end of the day, Jesus' message was to have, love your neighbor. So I'm just going to try to love my
Yeah.
neighbor as best I can, and we'll go on from there.
Yeah. No, that's great. So I want to back up. Graduated. Did you QHS or Notre Dame?
I went to CUNY. Yeah, we graduated
Okay.
2006.
2006.
Yep.
That makes. I like to tell people how old. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I'm
that's
36. I turned 36 on
36.
Sunday.
Okay. So 36. You said you graduated in which year?
2006.
2006.
Yep.
Okay. What was going on in 2006? I guess the economy was booming.
Yeah, rocking.
It was rocking and rolling.
But I was like oblivious to the world then, man.
Same
like
here.
I was so like in my like little line of
Yeah.
life, what I thought was important.
What was
playing
important
sports.
to you back then? What did you do?
So I played football at QD. So probably at this time of 2006, I was getting ready to go to college. I was going to play football at the University of St. Francis. So I was really just kind of focused on what was next. But at the same time, like if I'm honest about it, I was a pretty lazy like kid growing up, as far as not lazy, but like with athletics.
Yeah.
I wasn't like grinding in the gym. Like I see a lot of these kids nowadays, and I'm super, super impressed by, their work ethic
Yeah.
and how much they put into it. I was more like, all right, cool, yeah, let's go. This sounds
So you
fun.
didn't have necessarily the vision like, hey, I'm going to go pro.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely
This
not.
is my goal.
I knew that was never going to happen.
Okay.
Like, there's a layer of like looking at your life and being realistic with it.
Yeah.
Like I've got, big goals, but they're usually within reason.
Yeah.
Like, like, all right, I was a 5'8" kid playing corner at QD. I don't know if you've gazed the NFL, but there's a huge deal right now where Cooper DeJean is going to be drafted in the first round, and they say he's going to be the first white corner in like 25 years.
Okay. Wow.
That's so
and like what,
from a perspective standpoint, that was never happening for me.
How big do you have to be to play that position? Like
I'm not that big, just super fast and jump out of the gym. Neither things. I mean, I was okay fast, but like
Yeah.
nothing that good. So
Did you play all 4 years?
at
in high
QD,
school?
no, I actually played soccer all the way until my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
So I'm a huge advocate for not focusing on one sport.
Okay.
Nothing my parents did. It was all all me. I wanted to play soccer from the time I was a little kid. Did it my entire childhood. Played United. Played indoor all year round. I did like this Olympic development program thing where we were traveling. Like my dad was so committed. He took me to Chicago like every weekend for 12 or 14 weeks in a row for practice.
That's crazy.
So because like every other kid on the team was in Chicago.
Yeah.
So we'd drive to like Naperville on Saturday
wild.
for a 2-hour practice and then drive me back. Like, he always was so supportive of all of us kids. And, but yeah, I just got burnt out. I remember coming to him after my freshman year of soccer and being like, yeah, I'm going to do something else.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, what do you want to do? I was like, I think I'm going to play football. And he's like, all right,
right.
sweet, let's
Did
do
your
it.
brother? Okay, so you have siblings. You have a couple brothers. Is
Yeah,
that right?
Phil and Pat. So Phil
Okay.
is 18 months younger than me, and Pat's 14 months younger than Phil. So we were all in high school at the same time. When I was a senior, Phil was a sophomore, Pat was a freshman.
Okay, you're the oldest. I did not realize that. Okay,
Yep.
so you're the leader.
I'm something.
Yeah, they always say that like, firstborn always have like certain personality types.
Yeah.
Do you feel like some of that stigma is true?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom always sends us like the Instagram videos like these people make of like
Yeah.
firstborn, middle child, third child.
Yeah.
And they're typically not always spot on, but they typically have their pieces. We
Right.
always call Pat the youngest one the golden child because like when I was around like starting high school, like my rope was a lot shorter because obviously being a firstborn kid, it's your parents' first time going through a lot of this stuff. It's a little tighter rope. Phil had a little more slack, and then by the time Pat got there, it was just do whatever.
Yeah.
It was what it felt like. I mean, obviously it wasn't the case, but it was. We always joke about that, give him a hard time because we always joke that he got to do whatever he wanted.
Which one's the biker?
Phil, the middle
Phil,
one.
okay.
Yeah. So committed dude.
Dude, he's wild. He's got quite the following too.
Yeah, he does.
on
Yeah,
social media.
he does his off-road cyclist page, and he does it's crazy the time he's able. I shouldn't say able that he makes himself commit to it because I mean to do. The level of stuff he does is nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, he is being 30, was he 34 now? Yeah, 34. And, as competitive as he is in that space, I mean, he'll go out and ride 100 miles.
It's wild. I've done
and like
a 100
flying.
mile.
I'm talking like,
Oh, yeah.
not like, I just went cruise to, 100 miles going 15 mile an hour. Like, no, he's going 25 mile an hour for, as
wild.
long as he can go. It's wild. He's a machine.
So did your brothers play sports as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So is that something you guys did together? Or you're playing on the same?
Everything was a contest.
Okay.
The Smith house was game on. It didn't matter
Yeah.
if we were playing tiddlywinks or if we were. I mean, it was wild growing up because we had a ton of fun, but
Yeah.
we were very competitive with each other, and it bled into our sports lives as a whole.
Yeah.
We were competitive about everything, and we
So
still
no
are.
sister, right?
No sisters.
Okay.
Yep, all boys.
So I grew up the only boy, and I have 3 sisters.
Okay.
So like completely opposite childhood. Like I did my own thing. I didn't even play sports really. I ran track and cross country.
Okay.
But yeah, like my sisters were in there, doing makeup and stuff, and I'm just outside, like all right, playing by myself.
Yeah. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
We had a game of some sort. Like it was always kind of a 2v1 situation. So
Yeah.
whether it was, it didn't matter. We were playing hockey in the driveway, racing dirt bikes, doing that whole thing. I mean, you name it, we did it, but it was always a contest. There was no
Always
like,
contest.
we're just gonna mess around and do it for fun. It was always a game involved.
So I did want to talk about motocross a little bit. And that's what we call it, motocross. I mean,
Yeah.
it's riding.
Yeah.
When did you get into that? Was that something you did like in high school, or was that after?
So there's some levels to that, I guess. So we've ridden our entire life. So I want to say I was probably 4 or 5, and we used to live on Sycamore Street. My parents still have a video of us like riding around the small backyard
Really?
with a little 50
So
when we were
fun.
kids. So we always rode growing up. My dad was just kind of like letting us do whatever we wanted. So we were playing a lot of sports. So we had a little track at our house once we moved out North 12th. And so we just ride. So we weren't like going to a bunch of races and stuff. We were just riding. It was kind of like a race anyway because the 3 of us were always out
Yep.
there trying to push each other whether we really meant to or not.
Yep.
And so we just did that, and so we rode, all the way through high school and didn't really race much of anything, I guess, until I quit playing football. So I played my freshman year of college. Like I said, came to the quick realization that, like, nope, this isn't
Yeah.
for me. And and again, it was just because I was probably not quite mature enough to focus the time and effort to be better at it. But that's my own issue. And then so I said, all right, I got free time now. So I went to Western, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start racing motorcycles again. Started doing flat track motorcycle racing.
Is
Kind of
that
got into it.
common to do it that late? Like,
No, not typically.
Okay.
Typically, if you're, like you're committing, like, and we still rode like throughout, but like typically if you're like in like professional motorcycle racing is your goal, like you're committing a lot of time and effort to it from a very young age. We rode a lot, and we were, like I said, we were always competitive with each other, but we really didn't do a whole lot of it, or I didn't anyway, until I was about 19.
Okay. I've always heard it's a very like physically demanding sport. Is it? I mean, pretty
motocross specifically. So what I saw, we'd ride motocross all the time, but like what I actually did as far as like racing consistently was big dirt oval. So it's kind of like if you go to like Adams County Speedway out there now, big dirt oval stuff, but on a motorcycle.
Okay.
So that was what I enjoyed the most, and did that for 5 or 6 years. And then Tinsley was probably like 3, and I was like, I probably need to stop doing this.
Yep. It is a pretty dangerous sport.
Yeah, unfortunately, specifically the flat track side of it, bunch of guys that I still keep in touch with a little bit have become paralyzed or died or everything in between. So, and it because you're going 120, 130 mile an hour sometimes, and you're just right next to somebody, and one little mistake quickly goes the wrong direction. It's kind of like NASCAR on dirt, but with motorcycles.
Yeah.
So when you see a big NASCAR crash, just think about that with a 2-wheeled vehicle and
Not
your
much
body
protection.
no, it's just your body. So
That's wild.
yeah, so there you kind of have those oh crap moments, and it was 2012-ish somewhere. Yeah, 2012, and crashed pretty good at Springfield, and it took me like probably a good 10 days to feel like I was walking, like nothing really crazy. I just knocked myself unconscious. There's actually a video on YouTube somewhere of it.
Really?
And that was always my joke, is I was always knocked myself out. Like I never like broke bones racing motorcycles, but I knocked myself unconscious more times than we can count. And
that's crazy. So that's like, I mean,
not great. Like looking back
kind
on
of like playing football.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Fortunately, I did not have to deal with that. So that was kind of Phil and I's joke always, because he played middle linebacker at Q&D, and he was very, very good. And then, racing and stuff, we were kind of joking like, oh, man, hopefully this, like, CTE business, like, I don't know what that looks like at 50 for either one of us, because we've been unconscious a good amount of times.
I've never been knocked out.
Oh,
I'm
man.
going to try to keep it that way.
Yeah, I would recommend that.
So like I said, grew up with sisters. I've never been knocked out, never broken a bone. Man, I've lived too easy of a life, I think.
Honestly, that's probably best case scenario. The knocking out thing, though, has been wildly, like, that's been our biggest, that's what happened the most. Like Phil's broke a few bones. I mean, Phil broke a bunch of bones actually there for a while.
What? From
crashing dirt bikes, crashing bicycles. I mean, his collarbone, shoulder areas are absolute garbage. Like you could see this, you could see the screws backing out of like his plate. It's gross. And fortunately, I didn't do much of that. We always joked that I landed softer and bounced, and Phil just hit and stuck, and something was going to break. But no. So we do kind of wonder though. It's like, oh, all right. Well, fortunately, we always spent a ton of money on helmets. Like that was always our big thing. Like. And we'd spend $700 or $800 on a helmet. It's one shot. So like in the power sports world, you hit your head one time good, the helmet's junk. So you just stick it on the shelf. So we have at the shop, we actually have like 6 or 7 helmets that are on the wall. And people are always like, what are those? I'm like, well, those are ones that Phil and I have been unconscious in. And
That's crazy.
They're like, what?
That's so crazy.
They're like, they look good helmets still. I'm like, yeah, they're not. The shell inside of it's junk.
So they're meant to pretty much have
one impact.
One impact.
Yep, one good one and you're done.
Huh. Interesting.
Throw in the trash, set it on the wall, whatever.
So tell me, being in that world when you were younger, now that you have kids growing up, how old are your kids first?
So I've got 5. Tinsley's 14, Hollis is 11, Greer's 6, Wellman's 4, and Sylvan is 7 months.
Man, you are a busy guy.
Yeah.
I have 1, and we're like, wow, life is crazy.
Well, it felt like that at first, right? Like you have 1, then you have 2, and you're like, okay, we're in man. Then once you get to 3, that's when the chaos ensues. But once you're past 3, like it's kind of like numb. Like it's just
So you might as well have like 8 to 10. Is what you're saying?
No, we're done.
Okay.
Five's gonna be it for the Smith posse. But we're a nice spread. So like we've got some gaps in there. Really get to enjoy all the different ages about them.
Yeah.
So
that's what I wanted to ask though. As far as like your kids now growing up, what is your opinion on them doing these
they all right.
sports?
Yeah.
So you think it's a good thing for them? I mean, it probably teaches them a lot about. A lot of things about life.
It's just life, right? I mean, like, you're gonna crash. You're gonna have to get back up.
some
Things are
bruises
like we're
once
not
in a
gonna
while.
probably do like a bunch of racing or anything like that, just because from a family time perspective, you have to commit a lot of time and resources to that. We're fortunate that my dad still has like the little track in his yard, so kids can go over there and ride for 15 minutes. They can ride for 2 hours, hop in his pool, get back. I mean, that's what we did when we were kids. Like we'd ride for a while, swim, get back out, ride for a little while longer.
Yeah. Where's this track at?
At my dad's house. So he
Is
lives
it
out
on-
in North 12th and off Highway 24.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure we would have heard you guys
All the
riding
time.
growing up.
Oh, yeah,
because
probably.
I don't know if you knew where I grew up over off of North Fifth Street, Morton Drive. It's on the
Oh,
bluff.
yeah. That's some friends that grew up over there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we would look over the
Yeah.
field,
And we used to have lights at one point, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was you guys
Yeah.
over there.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
no, I remember.
We got
that.
some heck from neighbors for a while.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because we got portable lights in like 2004.
That's hilarious.
We got them from that rental services place. They were getting rid of them,
Yeah.
and we used to just prop the lights up and we'd ride till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because the dirt's the best on the oval at night because all the moisture comes back up.
Interesting.
So it's more hooked up, and we'd go out and ride.
Do they ride? I mean, like, at events, do they typically ride at night for that?
A lot of the flat track stuff's at night.
Interesting. I never.
And it's
thought-
also, it's easier to get people, to show up.
Yeah.
Because at the pro level, there's not as many classes, right? I mean, just show up and
Yeah.
everybody's there watching everybody go through the heats trying to get to the main events and whatnot. And they're usually at like bike rallies and stuff like that. So we'd race it in Daytona during bike week, which was super cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
or
Wow.
like Springfield, they'd have the miles during the daytime. But yeah, it was pretty awesome.
So is it? Let me ask this because I'm like going to be entering this stage of life here soon, where like your kids are starting to develop enough where maybe you see where their passion is,
Yeah.
like what they want to do. Do you, like your kids, have you kind of steered them a certain direction, like, hey, maybe we should try golf or maybe we should try soccer, or is it that they just pretty much pick up what they want to do?
Yeah, we're big on just kind of letting them do their thing. I mean, as I kind of alluded to earlier, like I love, the competitive nature of like my growing up and playing sports and doing all that stuff. I feel like I learned a lot about life. In those, I got to see how my dad parented, and which was amazing. Like he wasn't ever pushing us. He was always there for us.
Yep.
He was always going to give us the opportunities that we wanted or needed or whatever. But he was never the guy that's like, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that.
Yep.
And I don't want to be that guy. Like I grew up seeing enough of those people around me, trying to push their kids to be, whatever they wanted to be,
Right.
I guess, growing up. And I'm not going to be that guy. So if they want to do soccer, they want to do football. So Tinsley's starting to play a little golf. She just decided this year she wanted to do that. Super psyched about that.
That's cool.
I've been trying to find a child of mine that's like, hey, you want to go play golf? I'm like, no. I'm like, all right, whatever. Because I'm
They're a
not gonna
little young
yeah,
still,
I'm not
I
gonna
guess.
force them to do it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the last thing. Nobody wants to do something they don't want to do, especially at that age. But she's like, I think I want to play a little bit. So I'm like, all right, perfect. This is a great opportunity.
do it.
The 11-year-old. He's a little into it, but he started playing tackle football last year with QYFL.
Okay.
So he's loving that. And he loves roller hockey. So we do roller hockey at Scotty's. Those are kind of his two things.
Yeah.
Loves those. And Greer likes soccer. He's 6, so that's really the only thing he's doing right now. Not really interested in baseball. Willman, he's going to play baseball this summer. Did not like soccer. And then who knows what Sylvan's going to want to
Yeah.
do. So we just kind of let him steer. Like,
How
hey,
old is Wellman?
Wellman's 4. I guess he's playing basketball too. So the Crossing has that upward basketball league.
Okay.
It's like the greatest thing of all time. They have sparklers, so like they run through, they turn the lights off
Oh, that's
before.
cool.
I mean, so it's like a Blue Devil game.
You
but
guys
for
are kind of
4-year-olds.
trying to be like Blue Devils.
Yeah, so I think that's well, and that's where the kids are going to go. So,
Okay.
But they're doing all these things, and it's just so funny because people ask what they're doing, and they're all in different spaces.
Yeah.
They all like different things, and who knows? I mean, I'll change their mind on it, but we just want to keep giving them the opportunity to do what they want, what they have fun with, and
Yeah.
whatever happens, happens.
I love watching your Snapchat stories
Oh, yeah.
of the kids. I mean, I don't know which one it is, but there's one of your kids that stands out to me as a wild child. Like he's
Well,
got so much energy.
it's the
Go,
4-year-old.
go. 4-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, chaos. Yeah.
Absolute character.
Yeah.
He's always got his shirt off. He's always doing something crazy.
Yeah, that's Wellman.
That's so funny.
So one of his favorite things to do. My wife got him a trident. And,
Yeah.
and it kind of looks like a Blue Devil,
Yep.
deal. So we painted it blue, and then for his birthday or Christmas, one of the two, he got a Blue Devil costume. So the lady that makes the costume for QHS
Yeah.
made him a small one,
That's so cool.
and so he'll just turn on Alexa and he'll do introductions. So our basement got intense.
Your basement's wild.
So
is it like it's got to have holes all over the walls?
No,
by now,
we
right?
use soft rubber pucks. So far, so good.
Okay.
And we got we went to Quincy Warehouse Bargains, bought a cheap vinyl plank flooring because I knew hockey was going to be played in the basement. That thing's held up great. My father-in-law built Hollis for his birthday. He's the hockey one. Full set of boards.
Okay.
We have a full basement of boards. Like they're, I don't know, probably 2.5 foot tall. And so we have a goal at both sides. We have a full-on hockey rink in our basement.
That's so fun.
And they got a smoke machine, and then they have Alexa to do like the music. I mean, when they do it and their buddies come over, like they'll have all the parents come downstairs. They'll do introductions. We'll play the hockey game, and then when it's done, if you've ever been to a Blues game, they do the 3 stars of the game. So like, I'll have me like read off the stats of who was the best player and do. I mean, it's quite the production.
Man, that is fun.
You
need to make a video of this.
I think I've had it on Snapchat, but I need to save them. But it's a hoot, man. And then Wellman's probably coming down in his Blue Devil costume, if I'm being honest, because he thinks that's an opportunity to run around and do it. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh man, kids are fun. It's fun.
They're awesome. I love my kids, and I love just how unique every single one of them is. They're so different.
That's fun. So, okay, getting back to your story, because there's a lot more I want to touch on. You graduated. What did you go to college for, first of all?
Business management.
Okay, business. So at that point, did you guys have a family business?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dad bought. So the history kind of it. So he worked for Terry Trader and Gus Trader in West Quincy. I think it was 1990. Right after I was born in 88, mom and him got married in 87, so my mom worked there too, actually before Dad did. Dad had the opportunity to buy the power sports side of it, so they kept the Yamaha golf car side.
Okay.
And Dad bought Harley, Honda, Yamaha motorcycles, Suzuki, all that stuff from him. Operated it kind of out of the same building until 93.
This was in West Quincy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so where the go-kart track's at now, it used to be the whole store was there.
I see.
And then obviously the flood hit in 93, opted not to rebuild in Missouri there, moved it over. We're actually in Camp Point there was like a little downtown business they were at for a while. I'm trying to think where, it was the old chicken factory, which I'm trying to think what's there now. The Croc Center? Or right there behind, somewhere right over there. I think it was right by where the Croc Center's at.
Okay.
But so they were there for maybe a year or two, then moved to Camp Point until 2001 when they built the building out at on Broadway right now where we're at currently.
Okay. And that was, so that building that, was it branded originally like a Harley
Yeah.
Davidson?
So like Harley is very specific in when you're like building one of their like stores and you're a franchisee type situation for them, you have to kind of play by their rules type deal. So you got to build one of these castles basically. They make you build.
Quite a unique.
It's huge.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah, but it's massive, and we like it. We always joke though that like we had to do over again. Maybe we don't build quite the nice facility that it is.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's
I
awesome.
like
Don't get me wrong, but like they just make you, do stuff. And now that we're in the power sports world specifically, and there's no Harley anymore. Nobody saw though in 2002 side-by-sides taking over the market. There wasn't a side-by-side. It was golf cars, four-wheelers, so like an ATV that you steer and have handlebars. That's really it. Side-by-sides weren't a thing.
Yeah, I remember going over to Butch's Sports World. I used to shoot archery league over there, and I used to just drool over four-wheelers, like the Arctic Cats, what they sold over there mainly.
Yep.
And I don't ever remember a side-by-side. I mean, this was when I was
going to say like 2007, 2008, somewhere in there is when, maybe 6, but yeah, that's when like side-by-side started really kind of pushing through.
Yeah.
And then now, I mean, we still sell some ATVs specifically for like farmers, but side-by-sides, that's
the majority of. Okay. So when did you guys move away from being a Harley Davidson?
So we sold the Harley dealer in 2015.
2015. Okay. Now, when you had Harley Davidson, were you still selling a lot of other brands out of that same store?
Yeah, so we had Harley and Honda both. We weren't quite as branded as we are now, and that was a big push. Harley wanted us to be a single line store, but for us, there's a lot of value we felt in the Honda brand, and we're in a very rural community, so a lot of people, use their ATVs for hunting or farming and all that kind of stuff, and we didn't want to get rid of it.
Was Harley a popular? I mean, is that a brand for a bigger market? Like, is Quincy the market that would be buying Harley, or like, I guess in my mind, I don't know anything about motorcycles or the brand.
Yeah.
When I think of Harley, I think of a very expensive, like kind of the top of the line.
It didn't
or-
used to be that way. So, when I left college, or I got done with graduated 2010, spring of 2010, I decided that it was, a good opportunity I was just going to work. Like, that's what I wanted to do.
Yep.
It's always what I wanted to do. From the time my mom always, I don't know if she still has it. She might. But like in third grade, you had to write like what you want to be when you grow up. Everybody else is like astronaut, NFL player. I'm like, nope, I'm going to sell motorcycles.
Okay.
Like, this is what I'm going to do.
That's
This
awesome.
is what I want to do. And I'm sure my dad was probably pretty psyched about that,
Yeah.
to have a kid say that they want to do what you're doing. So I was like always known that was what my thing was going to be. And getting there and doing all that stuff. As I came out of college, like the Harley stuff was still doing well. Like from 2000, I'd say late 90s to like 2014, 13, like it was running hard. Like, I mean, the Harley was big. Like everybody was kind of jumping into it. There was a lot of guys my age that were getting Harleys that maybe, weren't, I wouldn't think them to be that type of person before. It was kind of for everybody. They're really having an identity crisis now because how old are you?
20 or sorry, well, I'm 30. I am 30.
Okay. But it's crazy. But like from the 40-year-old to the 30-year-old age gap there, that 10 years, your demographic, which I would consider us very similar, but like it seems like nobody 30 and younger could care less, or they couldn't care less about Harleys. Like,
Interesting. So
or the brand.
The brand in general, it's just we're not loyal. Maybe it's the one.
And it's just that it's not the thing, and a lot of it may be technology, with people obviously texting and driving, accidents, and I don't even think there's that many more accidents now than there probably used to be. It's just that now the news and everything's at your fingertips. So back in the day, you'd have to, like in 1998, if there's somebody hit a deer on a motorcycle and passed away, you'd have to read about it in the newspaper or hear about it from word of mouth. Now, 18 minutes after it happened, it's on the WCIL scanner.
Yeah.
And, so
So
I
are
think
you
information's out there.
Are you saying that in general you think that motorcycle riding has become less and less popular in general?
On the street, yes.
Okay.
Yep. We see a lot of people that are doing the side-by-side stuff, more family-oriented. Because, I mean, really on a motorcycle, you can take you and your spouse with you. So, you got to find a babysitter for the kids if you have kids in your family. It's tougher to do. You got to, really make time for it. Whereas if you have a side-by-side, bigger one, load the whole team up. You can go ride around your property or go on a ride to like Heartland Lodge or some places in Missouri.
Fun.
Yeah. And you can have a great family day with it. And, and that if that's what you're pushing towards, then it's a lot,
So would you say those things are relatively safe? I mean, if you do roll one, I mean, the cage is secure enough. Or
and
if
to
you're
roll
buckled
one,
in,
you've got to like
gotta be trying.
Yeah. Like
Okay.
you got to be trying to like do some wild stuff. Like rarely ever do people roll a side by side
Okay.
unless you're either going way too fast. I mean, accidents happen, right? But
Yeah.
specifically when you're woods riding, like, because you're never usually going more than like 20 mile an hour in the woods anyway. So you're either trying to climb some giant mountain, you smoked a tree, there's something, But as long as you're wearing your seatbelts and have, that kind of stuff on, you're probably
Should
going to
be
be
fine.
generally okay, yeah.
Do you follow Brenner Duster
Oh, yeah.
House? And,
Dude, him and his brother are wild.
they're insane. I
Yeah.
don't know if they're gonna see this or not, but what's his Bennett? I think
Bennett,
is the
yeah.
younger one.
Bennett is that video of him jumping that huge jump last winter or wherever they went.
Won some award for like the
Dude,
biggest jump.
nuts. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. And they're always modifying the units.
Oh, yeah.
Putting different cages on them and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Well, you kind of have to because, like, for what the kind of stuff they're doing with them, like, if you don't, like, it's probably going to break or, it's unsafe for them. Those cages, are pretty big life-saving opportunity for them because they're a lot stronger. But, yeah, those guys are wild.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that do that kind of stuff, and it's a ton of fun to watch and, see the videos unfold. But
Yeah.
there's
No,
also another
it's
side
not
of
gonna
it,
be
just
me.
putting around the woods with their family in there and just having a nice little Sunday cruise. That's probably more than my speed.
Yeah, same
Now,
here.
anyway.
We rented side by sides out in Arizona this last week.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that on your
Yeah,
Snapchat, yeah.
went riding out there. That was so much fun. It was my birthday, and so they gave me like we reserved all the same thing. I forget what they were. They weren't Can-Ams.
I think they were Players Razor, probably.
Yeah, Players Razor, and I thought they were all just gonna be the same model, but they had one that was supercharged, or
Like a
something.
turbo.
Turbo. There
Yep.
we go. I know nothing about
Yeah, you're good.
the stuff. But, dude, I mean, you're doing like, 40 miles an hour and you put the pedal to the floor and
dude.
you still spin out,
Yeah.
and so much unneeded power. I love it. It
yeah.
was so fun.
They make some crazy big ones now that have tons and tons of power.
Crazy. Yeah, it's wild. You don't need it, but it's fun.
It's nice to have.
Yeah. I guess you gotta have the option.
Yeah, I always joke that like if we only sold stuff we needed, I don't think I'd be in business of anything that we have. Maybe the 4-wheeler stuff for some of the farmers, but need and want are two very different things.
Yeah. Okay, so you to summarize just a couple of different things you do right now. So you've got the how do you summarize that business? The motorsports business, the selling all the units out there.
So yeah, Smith Brothers, the power sports stores.
Power sports, okay. Mm-hmm. So you got that, and then you do also we haven't really touched on. You have a golf store now, right?
Yep.
So that's how did you get into that? I mean, I guess first of all, where did the love for golf come from?
So once I quit racing motorcycles, I had to find a hobby. Like I'm very much like I still have a very competitive side to me. I just needed to find something I can be competitive in that maybe wasn't going to put me in the hospital. Yep. And, I was joked, I'll try to play sports, but there's no like adult sport leagues. Like I wasn't into baseball or softball, so that wasn't going to work for me. Golf's a nice mental challenge just because, no matter how much better you get, you always want to get better. And as good a day as you may have last week, you may have a terrible one next and vice versa. Yep. So it's a good, mental challenge. I enjoy that, and plus it's fun to be outside and with all your buddies and kind of giving each other a hard time. So Ray and I've known Ray forever. That's where I always bought my golf stuff from.
Ray was the owner of the golf store.
Mm-hmm. So Ray Wiest, he and his dad had ran R&R since I want to say 83. No, 93. Sorry, somewhere in there. I don't know. It's right around for 30 years ish. But they had ran R&R for a long time. I'd always bought stuff from him. My dad had bought stuff from him. So Ray and I were always talking, and I think it was 3 years ago. So Spring Lake was their pro had just left. They were wanting somebody to run the pro shop. Ray didn't want to do it by himself because he was like, I just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
He's like, are you interested in helping me? I was like, sure. I was a member out there at the time. Like, okay, cool. Well, I like golf stuff, so this will be fun. So I kind of helped him. We ran the pro shop for about a year. We were actually at Jimmy Patterson's 21st birthday party. So the kid that owns the scoreboard.
Okay.
We're at his 21st birthday at Huey's, and obviously I'm the oldest person there by a wide margin, besides obviously Ray.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, just chatting. I was like, hey, man, you ever decide you want to sell a golf store? Let me know. I said, I'd like the first shot at it. He said, okay, yeah, sounds good. I want to say that was like December of 21. Yep. And then I figured that'd be like 5, 6, 7 years, but I was like, I just got to planting the seed. Well, like 8 months later, I was leaving there. He's like, hey, I think I'm ready to sell this thing. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, all right, well, let's have a conversation. So from the time we started talking about it to the time we closed, probably like 3 months.
Wow,
and,
that's fast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we turned and burned, got it done, and so March 1 of 2022, the first day of me owning a golf store. So
did you ever foresee that happening?
No, never. So I remember coming home and telling my wife, I'm like, hey, so interesting opportunity that has presented itself. She's like, what's that? And I told her, she goes, oh, man. She goes like, all right, well, that, be cool or whatever. She always jokes that, like, rather than just, like, being in a hobby and doing it, like, oh, yeah, we might as well buy a store.
Yeah, might as well own it.
Yeah, so but it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. The growth that I've felt over the last 2 or 3 years, just in myself and how I go about my business and life and my trust in people has changed dramatically because I'm at Smith Brothers all the time. Yep. So I'm around my dad, my brother, the great team we have there. We're talking throughout the day. Obviously, I talk to Ray every day, but there's a whole nother level of comfort and trust you have to have to have a store, and you're not it. For me, it's always been like I'm at the place that my family's invested in, so it's easy to guard over. Like there's a level of trust in doing that, and had I not had the R&R experience, the Hayden's one would have been a lot tougher because it's almost the same deal. Ray's staying around. He has no intentions of going anywhere.
Okay. And
with the Hayden's, Corey and Kirsten, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be around. So there's a level of like, okay, you guys have done really well in your own spaces. There may be a knob or two we try to turn, to maybe adjust something, but like let you guys just keep rocking it.
Yeah.
But me being like the kind of ADHD dude I am, it takes a lot for me just to be like, all right, we're just going to let you roll, and we'll see what happens.
So I need to learn a couple lessons from you, because obviously you're really good at delegation and also like investing in the team, because I honestly
have not been that good at it. If I'm being frank, I'm getting a lot better at it.
You're learning.
But I was a fire putter outer. Like that was my, I loved being the guy that was able to fix stuff, and I still do. But giving the people the tools to let them, flourish in their own space is, it's tough. But shout out to Payne Schoen, because he's been a game changer in that area for me.
That's a common trend I hear so far. Yeah.
Payne's the man.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the community. It's awesome. You mentioned, again, Hayden's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't think anyone would probably know what that's about. Maybe they would. I guess has been announced. So you guys just bought out another. Yeah,
it's a power sports store in Frankfort, Missouri. It's called Hayden's Motorsports. Their family, very similar type setup. Their dad, Bob, has been around a long time, started as a chainsaw store out of his house.
Okay.
And then grew it into the power sports store they have now. So they have Honda, Polaris, Can-Am. So a couple different brands that we don't have here in Quincy.
Okay.
And their family has been involved in the business for a long time. Corey, the son, mid-40s, he's going to continue to be running it with his wife. We want to keep that small town feel, that local store. Right now there's a lot of groups, kind of similar to the car industry, where the groups are buying up more and more and more and more stores. And not that all of them are bad. It's just you kind of lose some of the small town.
The feel that
we kind of I always kind of equate it to kind of like a barbershop type feel. Like you can come in Smith Brothers, you can come in Hayden's, you can come in R&R. Even if you're not necessarily buying something, but you just want to hang out and talk about stuff you like. That's what we do. I mean, obviously there's layers to like, being busy and selling stuff and all that. But, we want people to feel welcome in the store, even if they're just hanging out.
How did that even come about? I mean, is that something that you were actively out looking like, hey, I don't have enough going on. Let me call
No, it wasn't. It was another situation. I always tell people, like, relationships matter a lot. And how you treat people in, all the, circles you're in matter. And not saying that I'm perfect in that, because there's plenty of times where I can look back and say, I don't feel good about how I, represented myself there. But Corey and I, and Bob and my dad, have, we're dealer trades, and we're dealers within 40 miles.
Communicating quite a bit.
We're dealers within 40 miles of each other.
Okay.
So it's easy for that to have a very negative relationship, right? Because you're selling a lot of the same stuff to a lot of the same people. We've always got along good. I think the core message we always had of, trying to treat a customer well was there. Corey, we were on the phone last year, probably not too much, probably about a year ago, probably somewhere in there, talking about just the power sports landscape and different areas and different stuff. And he mentioned something about, I don't know if he was even super serious at the time about it. He said something about, you want to buy another one? And I said, yeah. I mean, so we have a conversation about that. And so next thing you know, we end up playing golf one day and kind of chatting through what that looked like. And next thing you know, here we are.
Well, did you take him to the golf store first and sell him some stuff, and then? All right.
So he's been a customer at R&R for 15 plus years anyway. So he and Ray have known each other forever. So, because honestly, when we were doing dealer trades there for a while, he'd call me like, hey, you want to pick me up this, and this from the golf store, just bring it down when you come to swap this unit out. I'm like, oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that works out great.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got this whole flywheel thing going now. So what you do is you sell people their toys over here. Maybe they own a business or something. So then you take them to your golf store, deck them out in golf apparel and all that.
Yeah.
And then you take them golfing to ask them if they have a business to sell.
That's right.
It's just like this big flywheel.
That one scenario of that does appear in that zone. But no, it was we just have a lot of fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the heart of everything we're doing is to try to treat customers well, try to treat people well, try to give back to our communities as much as we possibly can. I love Quincy. Like, nothing drives me nuts more than people complaining about
Trashing
Quincy.
about it.
I mean, and fine, but Quincy has so much good stuff to offer. Sure, like sometimes people are in different areas of Quincy, and I say areas not like an actual geographical area, but like what circles you're running in, that may not be as fun, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But Quincy as a whole offers so much, and it's so awesome to see so many people pour back into it. And I want to be here forever. I want my kids to be here forever.
Yeah.
You know, sure, they may go off and go somewhere else. That's fine. But it's amazing how many people my age, though, I'm starting to see come back.
I know. That's what I was just going to ask. It seems like that's the trend. It's like you go away for, 5-10 years, and then you trickle back once you start to build a family, and it's not that bad of a place.
No, it's awesome. And,
Yeah.
like, I couldn't imagine. So my youngest brother lives in Chicago. He loves it. You know, he's single, 33, 34, or something like that. And, you know, he enjoys the city.
Yep.
I think about having kids in the city, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what I would do. You'd be just cooped up in your house all the time, what you would do. So, you know, I'm not saying that those areas aren't great and don't have their own things about them. They just don't fit what I want to do. And
Yeah.
like I said, I just love Quincy.
Yep. It's for a certain type of person, and I'm about it. There was a point in time where I resented being here.
Yeah. I think everybody's
shortly-
had that time, right?
Yeah,
Where they're
it's like all
"Ah."
my friends went away to college. I was literally like in my friend group, I was the only one here. I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I escaped to St. Louis for a short time. I was there for like a year and a half, I think, and I ended up moving back. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Might as well just plant the roots. And, you know, the more I'm here, the more I love it. You go and visit other places, and you're just like, you see what you have, and,
Yeah.
and you start to enjoy it. So, yeah, I love it. I wanted to ask you, so like with all these different things you have going on, the store, the golf store, the power sports, buying this other power sports store, how do you, like, what does your day look like? Do you have certain days that you like allocate to certain businesses? Is your calendar like blocked, or like how do you structure your day?
We're working through that right now,
Figuring it
trying to
out.
just figure out, you know, what that looks like. Again, it was easier with the golf store because it's in Quincy. So if I needed to run across town for something, it's 10 minutes. The store in Missouri is going to be a little different level.
Yeah.
And actually, as soon as I get done here, my mom and I are going over there today. We got some computer stuff we're trying to get set up just to make sure everything's kind of cohesive between the two places that we're using. Very similar. The computer systems are the same, but make sure all the reports are going to the same spot, just so it's easier to track and try to you know kind of look at everything that's going on. I'm getting better about not saying no, but saying yes in a realistic time frame. I still am. I say yes a lot, but I say yes and then put it on a day that's probably too close.
Yeah.
As you figured out in this,
We did reschedule, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but you know, whether it's a kid thing or
Yeah.
somebody's sick or whatever, just kind of planning for the unplanned stuff that
Right.
comes up and just being okay with that. But we're getting better at it again. Payne's helped me a ton working with him over the last 2 years from where I was started at to where I'm at now as far as scheduling goes. I used to schedule nothing. It was just to show up. I'd write this big old list of stuff that I needed to get done
Yeah.
and just try to plow through it.
So now what does it look like? Now is it more like you try to just focus on the biggest important things and you actually put them on the calendar, or?
Yeah, so basically if I'm saying yes to something, I'm putting it on my phone calendar,
Okay.
and I'm trying to keep it to 2 to 3 yeses maybe a day.
Okay.
Whether it's a 15-minute one, an hour one, whatever it is, knowing that like those are – because my job is so unpredictable,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
in sales, specifically in the power sports world, because I'm at Smith Brothers or Hayden's pretty well all the time, one of the two. You don't know who's going to walk in. You know, I was there last Friday, and I was like, all right, I'm going to be here from 11 or I was 10 to like 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right as I was getting ready to leave, customer walks in, wants to talk about a Ranger. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it. So I'm over there. Ended up selling them a side-by-side, but I don't leave till 3:30.
Yeah.
You know,
How does your wife put up with you?
that's a good question. She is a saint, but she is such an amazing mother, and that she's really kind of in her space right now. She was a teacher at QPS for 10 years.
Okay.
This year she's not teaching. We had our baby in September, the youngest one, and we had the conversation like, do you want to stay home?
Mm-hmm.
And with daycare expenses, as much as it is, it was about a wash between what she makes as a teacher and having 3 kids in daycare,
Right.
and then me having to like run one to preschool and then back to daycare. So it's been really, really nice for my schedule because now Reagan's doing all the kid moving,
Yeah.
taking care of our home, which is a whole lot bigger project. Teaching was a lot, but like managing the Smith household is a lot.
I can't. I was told I can't call it babysitting when it's your own child. So
Correct,
it's being
yeah.
a father.
Parenting.
What,
Yeah.
was that you that maybe? Someone
Yeah, it was probably
commented-
me. Yeah.
Someone commented.
I'm big
one
on
of
that.
my
It's not
posts.
babysitting, it's parenting.
I love it. That was a good.
Everything is
perspective.
parenting. So
Yeah.
one of my kids, Wellman, the wild one, we were at the golf store last year, and this was when Reagan was still teaching. So I'd take Greer and Wellman with me. I'd take them to preschool, and then run them back to daycare after preschool is over. And we'd go do the deposit at the golf store or do whatever. I got him donuts that morning. Wellman was being a pistol, wasn't having a very good day.
Yeah.
And he spiked this donut off the ground. Like, and Ray's standing there like, oh boy. And he reminds me of it all the time. And I was like, yeah, it's parenting,
That's
man.
hilarious.
And he goes, what? I said, it's parenting. And he goes, okay, I guess that makes sense. I'm like, yep, parenting just goes ahead and encompasses the amazing things and the rough moments and everything in between, but it's all so good.
Well, hey, yeah, it's unbelievable, and yeah, shout out to the ones that do the most of the parenting.
My wife, does not get enough credit. She's
don't
an
know
amazing
how they
woman.
do it. My wife, when we spent some time in Arizona this last winter, and my wife worked a couple days remotely, and so I was in charge of watching our son for the whole day. And I was more exhausted after watching, he was at the time only about a year old.
Yeah.
So, didn't even hardly move around.
But they control your life at that age because
so it gets better is what you're saying?
Well, you can have more dialogue, right? So I always joke with
You
Reagan
can reason with them.
that I am a great toddler parent and up.
Okay.
The infancy stages are tougher for me as a dad because I like the interaction. I like playing things with him. Like, so my 6-year-old recently got in. He wants to play. He's playing chess. So
That's awesome.
He loves playing chess. So he wants to play chess all the time. But like that is perfectly in my space. Like let's do games. I
can't see you slowing down enough for chess.
Greer and I did it again last night. We played 3 games of chess yesterday.
Wow.
And then we'll play hockey in the basement. So when my 11-year-old, he's at our house, he's ready to, we're playing hockey in the basement. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, and we'll have the whole family. We have the 4-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 11-year-old. Tinsley did it for a while too. So we do a little bit of everything. But it was harder with Sylvan because she's 6 months old, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all the kids were at that age at one point. But so Reagan specifically has a lot more hands-on with her. While I'm trying to wear the other kids out in some fashion. So, but when she has them all, and I'm not there, or I'm at work or whatever, I'm just like, I don't even know how you do that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's incredible. So, exciting news for Quincy. We have what's it called? The Range.
The Range at the KC. Yeah.
Okay, so that's coming up. Want to talk a little bit about. So R&R Golf has some sort of involvement there. You're gonna have like a store.
It's like a pro shop basically there.
Okay.
So the par 3 course will still be open. So we'll have balls for sale, tees, gloves, stuff like that. Kind of like a small version of our store. We'll have some demo equipment, some fitting stuff. Between Blaze, Ray, and Jacob, somebody will be there a decent chunk of time. So if you want to get something new, want to check something out, we'll have that opportunity. I mean, Trevor, Nick, and Kelby just took an awesome idea and are just going big with it. I mean, it's so cool.
I am so excited. I'm gonna spend so much money there.
It's such an unreal thing to see happen. But there's so many people, like whether it's social media or Snapchat or whatever. I guess technically that's social media, but that I see go to Topgolf.
Yeah.
In Chesterfield and do all that stuff. And I've been there a couple times, and there's nothing inexpensive about that whole trip if you go to St. Louis. So I think the idea is to bring that to Quincy where it's a little better value for the people using it. And
I need to have one
awesome.
of these guys on to talk more in depth about that. But summarize. So like, it's one level? Is it indoor and then you step outside to hit, or how does that
So
work?
it'll have a building. So the building will have inside of it like a bar, restaurant type area. They're going to have a limited menu of like kind of some foods, kind of like Topgolf does.
Topgolf, yep.
Then we'll have the store inside. Then there's going to be 30 covered bays that all have Top Tracer technology in them, which is going to be similar to what you have at Topgolf.
Which means when you hit the ball, it tracks where it's
carry
going.
distance, spin rates.
Yep.
You can set up the games where you're aiming at targets, all that kind of fun stuff. It's super cool. They'll have some different stuff out there. It's not in the ground like Topgolf is where the targets are, but everything's read by these cameras that are overhead. So if you've been to the golf store and seen the GC Hawk that we have there, very similar technology where it's reading these super high-speed cameras or taking a bunch of pictures of the golf ball in your club as you're hitting it and records all the data.
Okay.
There's 30 bays. They're going to have garage doors in them. They'll be heated so you can use them in the wintertime.
So it will be open all year. That's awesome.
So
Love
obviously there, during some extreme weather cases, if it's 0 outside and blowing 25 mile an hour, probably not going to be open because nobody's probably going to want to do that a whole lot. Or if there's too much snow where you can't pick balls, that, very rare circumstances. But for the most part, they plan on being open all year.
Yeah. Well, that's super exciting. So do you ever see yourself like scaling R&R Golf to maybe other locations outside of Quincy, or is that something that you see as like a local? This is local. We're keeping it local.
We definitely want the local feel to not change in that in any capacity. The hard part in that is finding somebody like Ray or Blaze that is in one of these other areas to make that feel. Because I'm not knocking a lot of your big box stores, but if you go to a Dick's Sporting Goods or Golf Galaxy or a PGA Superstore even, it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
You go in, you have some guys that work in there, they're punching their 6-hour shift or whatever, and they're probably not going to be there the next day when you come back, or if you've got an issue or whatever. And not saying that they don't provide a value, but it's not the same small town value that we're trying to provide. So who knows what that'll look like. I'm sure, if the opportunity presents itself, we'll definitely have a conversation about it. But
can't say no, right?
Yeah, I don't really. My dad said never say never.
Yeah.
So
I know we need to wrap things up here, but I'm just curious, like through all these different things you've done over the last 10 years, what has been like one of the biggest challenges you can think of that you've gone through, like in terms of taking the business over? Was there pain points that you had to work through, or like maybe an area that you grew that like reflecting back, you're like, oh wow, like I came a long ways? Or
just it's not all about me.
Okay.
And there's
more
a lot
about the team, or is that
just life, right? I mean, like life as a whole, a lot of the things I feel, I probably still felt that way yesterday at some point, but like backing myself up and going, okay, taking the 50-foot view and going, okay, you feel this way right now, but there's no sense. Let's unpack why you feel this way or what this situation is, and let's give everybody, whoever it is, an opportunity to see what we can do to correct this or move forward. So many times we want to manage things that happened in the past, which obviously, if there's an issue, we got to figure out what the issue was and go forward. But the reality is your reaction is going forward. So however you're going to, create the situation, all you can do is fix what's ahead of you. You're not going to be able to fix what happened behind you. So making sure that I'm doing so in a way and having conversations with people that make them feel like validated and worth it, but understanding that I'm not right all the time.
Yeah.
So like just because I may feel that way, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. Right. And my wife has been instrumental in, helping me in those moments of like, okay, you feel that way. Let's talk about why, or, whatever. I've grown a lot in that space because for the longest time I couldn't get out of my own way, I would say, and just being so focused on what I was doing or what I was about. Yeah. Trying to be a more we mentality, less I mentality.
Yeah. Well, I think we all could learn that lesson a little bit.
I'm still learning it. So
yeah, man. Well, it's super exciting to see everything you've got going on. We'll have you on again because I know that there's more things to come. I know there's more. You're always scaling, so we'll have you back on again.
Cool.
So,
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.
All right, later.
See ya.